Test mic. Test mic. Test mic. Good morning, everyone. We just want to ensure first, before we start, that each college is represented. So we want to know if there are any representative from College of Arts and Letters, okay. College of Human Kinetics, CBFS, CCIS, there. CITE, CGPP. There you go, Ma'am Sonia. CCSE, good morning. College of Sciences. Hi, ma'am. What about CTM? CTM. Okay. CTHM. There you go. CCAPS. School of Law. IOP. IOA. There. Institute of Nursing. Dami. Imaging Health Science po. HSU. I test. ISDNB. There you go. Good morning po. We're about to start in how many minutes, sir? The student region and faculty region and the admin of our institution. Thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and distinguished members of the Academe, a warm welcome to this momentous event, the University of Makati's Annual Academic Convocation 2023, with the theme Borderless University of Makati, Aiming Beyond Better. Today, we gather to celebrate our unwavering commitment to excellence in education and to chart a course towards even greater heights. Earlier today, our celebration commenced with a Thanksgiving Mass, expressing gratitude for the blessings that have shaped our journey thus far. So, just a few reminders. Please ensure that you will accomplish the evaluation form for you to receive your certificate. We will also send the link and show you the QR code before the session ends. At this point, may we request everyone to rise for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka pasisingin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang tislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na naglilingling, ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na buwan, hadit pang sinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you. You may now take your seats. Our journey through today's program is about to unfold. And we're honored to have an extraordinary lineup of speakers. So, are you guys excited? Oh, come on, let me hear you. Are you guys excited? There you go. To start, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Vice President for Academic Affairs, VP Ederson D.T. Tapia, to deliver the welcome remarks.
May ganun tunog pa. You know, there's a famous Chinese greeting which you always say to your enemies. May you live in interesting times. And I think what we are facing right now in the city and the university is nothing short of interesting. But don't you worry, I'm not the bearer of bad news. I'm just setting the intro to what the mayor will be saying later. So my task is to give you a welcome. Welcome to the University of the City of Makati. May hugot agad, no? We are here for our annual university convocation, otherwise known as AUC. When I was going through the program, I thought to myself, you know, AUC stands for more than annual university convocation. To me, I think, there are a lot of things that we could use to designate AUC. Pwedeng academics unleashing curiosity. Yan, pwede, di ba? Or academics unleashing creativity, which is what we're about to do for the whole day. And this morning, I was talking to VP Jewel. Sabi niya, baka pwedeng banggitin mo na din yung mga achievements natin. Okay? A pa din yan. So, AUC, achievements. And we know that we've had a lot of achievements over the years. Thanks to the able leadership of the City of Makati, we're able to achieve all of these things, no? From the infrastructure to personnel development and many others that we have been witnessed to over the years. The other U stands for unity. Our presence here today, the presence of the top officials of the city is a testament to how united we are in the City of Makati. And yet, there are a lot of challenges that we will be facing in the months and even in the years to come. So, you have achievements, unity, and challenges. AUC pa din yan. Okay, so there's actually a prepared speech for me to read, but I will not bore you with most of what was written here for me, except to say that this is a very important time for our university, and we're thankful that the city officials are here, not only to give us some news, but also to give us some sense of reassurance that all is well in the city of Makati, that we're going to weather this together. And Mayor Abby, Congressman Kid, Congressman Luis, siguro yung pinaka-AUC that would describe all of us here is something that would resonate in the proceedings today and in the years and in the months to come. Ano ba yung AUC na gustong-gustong ipahayag ng mga nandito ngayon sa University of Makati and perhaps pati yung mga nasa labas? Anong AUC yun? AUC, ayaw umalis sa City of Makati. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, VP, and thank you for setting up the tone for this event. Now, it's my privilege to call to the stage our remarkable university secretary, Ms. Juvie B. Hermosura, to present our esteemed participants.
Our City Mayor, Mayor Abby Binay Campos, Congressman Peña, our guests from the Commission on Higher Education, Dr. Muyong and Dr. Coronado, my fellow workers in the University of Makati, good morning. My task is to present the 891 participants of this annual university convocation. Some are attending online. So this is composed of 661 academic personnel and 267 non-teaching personnel. So to start with, I'll be presenting by cluster. So the first one from the Office of the President's cluster, of course, the Office of the President headed by no other than our University President, Professor Eligio Ramos. So by the way, those who are attending online, as your college or office is called, kindly open your camera. So accepting the challenge, heading the Office of the University Registrar, Professor Danilo Sabado. From the Center for Information Technology, Mr. Jonathan Canapi. From the Center for Admission and Scholarship, headed by Associate Professor John Paul Dagum. Presidential Assistance for Technology, Associate Professor Enrico Santos. From the Office of the Vice President for Academic Affairs Cluster, of course, the OVPAA headed by Professor Ederson Tapia. From the College of Continuing Advanced and Professional Studies, on concurrent capacity, Professor Ederson Tapia as Dean, assisted by Associate Dean Dr. Rene Tabajen, and his executive directors. From the College of Governance and Public Policy, headed by its Dean, Associate Professor Sonia Pimentel. From the College of Arts and Letters, headed by its Dean, Associate Professor Mary Acel Herman. From the College of Construction, Sciences and Engineering, headed by Engineer Concepcion Laurico. From the College of Technology Management, headed by Associate Professor Muner Ragindin. From the College of Computing and Information Sciences, headed by Professor Joel Mangaba. From the College of Innovative Teacher Education, headed by Associate Professor Jason Berganya. From the College of Business and Financial Science, headed by Professor Edita Bayona. From the College of Tourism and Hospitality Management, headed by Assistant Professor Maria Teresa Icalia. From the College of Human Kinetics, headed by Associate Professor Michael Tolentino. From the College of Science, headed by Professor Donna Carbonilla. From the Higher School ng UMak, headed by Associate Professor Maria Corazon Benosa. From the School of Law, headed by its Dean, Attorney George Valenton, and assisted by Associate Dean, Attorney Cecilio Duca. From the Institute of Pharmacy, headed by its Dean on Concurrent Capacity, Professor Maria Faye Nenet Carriaga. From the Institute of Nursing, headed by Assistant Professor Anthony Jan Domingo. From the Institute of Imaging Health Sciences, headed by Assistant Professor Mayna Marie Nerona. From the Institute of Accountancy, headed by its OIC Dean, Professor Edita C. Bayona, on concurrent capacity. From the Institute of Technical Education and Training, headed by Associate Professor Apollo Mambiar. From the Institute of Social Development and Nation Building, headed by Professor Lucia de la Cruz. From the Center for Technology-Based Learning, headed by Associate Professor Stanley Fernandez. Let's move on to the Office of the Vice President for Administration's Cluster, of course, headed by Attorney Jewel Bulos. Then, from the Supply and Property Management Office, headed by Ms. Jennifer Odinia. From the University Facilities Management Office, headed by Mr. Pablo Napao III. From the Medical and Dental Office, headed by Dr. Alan Angelo Raimundo. From the Occupational Health and Safety Office, headed by Mr. Orlando Benedicto. From the General Services Office, headed by Mr. Eleazar Santiago. From the Human Resource Management Office, headed by Ms. Marilu Nuevo. Let's move on to the Office of the Vice President for Finance, headed by Engineer Luke Ivan Moro. So under his supervision are, first, from the Accounting Office, headed by Ms. Diana Rose Simangan. From the Cash Office, headed by Ms. Angelita Benedicto. From the Budget and Internal Audit Office, headed by Ms. Zosima Datuin. Then, the next cluster is the Office of the Vice President for Planning and Research, headed by Professor Maria Faye Nenet Carriaga. Under her supervision are the following: the Center for Quality Management and Development, headed by Professor Amelia Pahe. From the Center for University Research, headed by Professor Florante de los Santos. From the Center for Planning and Development, headed by Ms. Camille Navarro, who is right now attending a club planning conference in La Union. From the Library Learning Commons, headed by Ms. Jennifer Laluna. Then, for the next cluster, the Office of the Vice President for Student Services and Community Development, headed by Mr. Virgilio Tabu. Under his supervision are the following: for the Center for Athletic Development, headed by Mr. Dominador Lera Jr. From the Center for Culture and the Arts, headed by Mr. Wobby Villanueva. Center for Student Formation and Discipline, headed by Associate Professor Pompeo Adamos III. Center for Community Development and Nation Building, now CSED or Center for Community Extension and Development, headed by Mr. Nino Faustino. From the Center for Student Organization and Activities, headed by Professor Angelito Vargas. From the Center for Guidance and Counseling, Ms. Cecilia Deakin. Okay, and the last cluster, the Office of the University Secretary, headed by yours truly. So under my supervision are the following: the Center for Alumni Affairs, headed by Mr. Steve Villacorta. From the Center for Linkages, Career Development and Placement, now Center for Internationalization, Linkages and Placement, headed by Ms. Cynthia Margareta Jose. Center for Integrated Communication, headed by Ms. Lurlin Choi Ugadan. And the Center for Data Protection and Records Management, now headed by Assistant Professor Pio Jagurin. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yusek Hermosura. We have the privilege now to hear from an exceptional leader whose words will surely ignite our spirits. Please join me in welcoming our hardworking city mayor, Honorable Marlene Abigail S. Binay.
Ang hirap na maliit, kailangan ng platform. Okay, una upo na, para naman masyado kayong formal. Okay. My warmest greetings to all the distinguished guests, yung dalawang congressman na lumayas na. Hi, hello, bye. Esteemed faculty members, UMak Hurons, and proud Makati Zens, it is my greatest pleasure to greet you all as we mark the opening of the new academic year of the University of Makati. Marami pong nagtatanong, papalitan po ba ang pangalan ng University of Makati? Manigas kayo. Hindi yun mangyayari. Okay? Tagaan nyo sa bato. Hindi mapapalitan ang pangalan ng UMak. At this point, I would like to address the elephant in the room. Most, if not all, are worried about the territorial dispute between Makati and Taguig. They will never own properties that we procured and we built in good faith unless they buy the university, unless they buy the land where the university is at. Kaya kailangan ngayon palang nag-iipon na sila ng pera, pangbayad sa lungsod ng Makati. Bakit? Dahil ito ay pera ng taxpayer ng Makati. Hindi ho taxpayer ng buong Pilipinas. This is different from the situation in Taguig where most of their schools are owned by DepEd. Pati po yung laman sa kanilang eskwelahan ay umaasa sila sa DepEd. Hindi kami ganyan sa Makati. Makati and Makati alone will continue to run this educational institution and fulfill our mandate of giving high-quality free education to residents of Makati. I also congratulate UMak for finally achieving the institutional recognition from the Commission of Higher Education. Diyos ko, this is really no small feat and proves our commitment to providing quality and accessible education remains unwavering. Ilang taon nga ba? Nating niligawan ang DepEd, ang CHED, para makakuha ng institutional recognition. My dear UMak, lalo nating gagalingan, lalo nating sipagan, at lalo nating ipakita sa lahat ang galing ng estudyanteng Makatizen. Let us turn these challenges and adversities into stepping stones toward progress and success. Let me digress a little and share our immediate vision for the University of Makati. During the transition, we will be asking the Department of Education to allow us to use Fort Bonifacio Elementary School and Fort Bonifacio High School to be part of the University of Makati. Kompleto na ang magiging bahay ng ating university. May elementary na, may high school, at may senior high school. We will push together with plans to expand the UMak Senior High School and create laboratories to enhance research opportunities for our students. We will make UMak bigger, better, and more accessible to all Makati-cents. Lahat na magigit-gitan ngayon sa eskwelahan na yan. You know, it's not really about the school supplies. It's not about the facilities. It's about the education. The quality of education that we provide to our students can only be done by Makati. Hindi po ito tungkol sa bag, sa sapatos, sa school supplies. Ang importante po yung kalidad ng edukasyon na kaya nating ibigay sa ating mga anak. We produce a conducive environment for learning. We do not allow politics inside our schools. Let us remind Taguig, that is how we maintain our schools. Wala pong politika sa loob ng eskwelahan. Wala pong patronage politics sa ating paaralan. Lahat pantay-pantay may natatanggap. For now, I urge you to focus on your studies. To the teachers and administrators, your work is to teach and mold these fine young adults into able leaders of tomorrow. Sa akin ang laban versus Taguig. Kapit lang, walang bibitaw. Thank you.
A heartfelt thank you po, Mayora. And yes, tataga po namin sa bato yan, that University of Makati is University of Makati and will always be University of Makati. At this point, may we call to the stage the management committee po, so we can give our mayor token of appreciation. Mayor Abby. All right, so let us now move forward to a significant segment of this event, the awarding of institutional recognition. It is with great pleasure that I introduce a distinguished individual, our Vice President for Planning and Research, who have set new standards in our pursuit of excellence. As we embark on this enlightening journey, let us all welcome VP Maria Faye Ninette Cariaga to give us a background of our journey in reaching our institutional recognition.
Gandang umaga po. To Dr. Raul F. Muyong, Director, Office of the Institutional Quality Assurance and Governance, Commission on Higher Education, to Dr. Carol Mark Yee, Executive Director, EDCOM 2, to Dr. Bella Flor Coronado, former CHED Supervisor, of course, our Honorable Mayor, Marlene Abigail Binay, Management Committee led by President-elect C. Ramos, the Board of Regents, Deans and Heads of Colleges, Institutes, and Offices, faculty members and administrative personnel, students, alumni, guests, and the rest of the UMak community, a very pleasant morning. This forward acknowledges and recognizes the leaders, the men and women at post in the relevant offices, colleges, and institutes in the timeline, which will be mentioned to depict the journey of the university in its pursuit of institutional recognition. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. The University of Makati, the University of the City Government of Makati, which is formerly a community college, has its most important mandate to fulfill as a local university. Quality education addressing the needs of the city, ensuring 100% employability of its graduates, improving their lives, that of their families, and the community where they belong. To simply put, our graduates become vital contributors to social progress following the fitness for purpose quality education framework. Thank you to the late Professor Tomas B. Lopez Jr. for making this prominent in the UMak Vision 2000. For the utmost good of our stakeholders and to be officially recognized as a university in the same way as most public and private higher education institutions are officially recognized and listed as a higher education institution, we, as UMak community, made a decision to apply for institutional recognition to the Commission on Higher Education. With local accreditation of the programs and with pioneer programs in the university having government permit and recognition then by the Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DEX, like programs in the College of Business and Financial Sciences, College of Arts and Letters, College of Governance and Public Policy, College of Education, College of Tourism and Hospitality Management, and College of Technology Management. And with Commission on Higher Education, regional quality assessment visits held for newer programs then, like the Bachelor of Science in Nursing, in relation to standard monitoring. The university initiated its application for institutional recognition in 2016, progressing to 2018. During this period, colleges already subjected or submitted their programs for the process of program recognition by the Commission on Higher Education, National Capital Region. For example, our allied health programs in nursing, pharmacy, and radiologic technology. It was a tedious process as we all needed to fully comply with the necessary requirements of the CMOs containing the policies, standards, and guidelines of the respective disciplines. In 2019, we reinforced the institutional recognition application to the Good Commission, and results came back with recommendations that the university needed to fulfill. Then came the global health crisis. The pandemic has hit us severely in 2020, but it never dampened our will to get the institutional recognition. The UMak community collaboratively, resiliently, and with much enthusiasm submitted the compliance requirements in 2021. However, COPCs, or Certificate of Program Compliance, of additional identified programs needed to be complied with some other requirements until the last quarter of 2022. After a series of consultations and high-yield discussions, coupled with prayers and perseverance of the university leadership through our president, Dr. Elixir C. Ramos, and the entire UMak community, and the full support of the City of Makati, led by Mayor Abigail Binay, thankfully, all COPCs of the 16 programs were considered done, and all the other requirements were fulfilled. Thus, the much coveted institutional recognition was given us last May 9, 2023. And today, at this moment, is the ceremonial awarding of the same. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. The journey has been very tough. There were frustrations, there were failures and disappointments, but essentially, there were also victories which came from varying sizes. As UMak never stopped fulfilling its mandate as a local university of the City of Makati. The University of Makati persevered, learned, thrived, became better, more mature as it turned 50 in 2022 and faced a new decade this 2023. Truly, there is beauty in struggles. Welcoming the new decade for the University of Makati was the proclamation of our new president and, of course, the receipt of our institutional recognition from the Good Commission in May. And this now goes with 1, a newly calibrated mindset, a new vision to become better and even go beyond it, to become borderless as we leap to greatness without losing our very context as the University of the City of Makati. The best is yet to come. Thank you and good morning, everyone.
Thank you, VP. Thank you, VP, for illuminating us with the UMak journey. We are also honored to have the Director of the Office of the Institutional Quality Assurance and Governance. May we call to the stage Director Raul F. Muyong for his special message.
Makati City Mayor Honorable Marialen Abigail Pinay, EDCOM2 Executive Director Dr. Carol Markey, of course the two congressmen, the Congressman Luis Campos and Congressman Kid Peña, who were with us today, early this morning, honorable members of the Board of Regents of the University of Makati, honorable members of the City Council, the University President, Dr. Elixir Ramos, who happened to be an Ilonggo by affinity, yeah. And of course, the members of the administration, faculty and staff, the city government officials and staff, representative from the CHED NCR, my colleague in OICAG, we have here Engineer Rian Sabate, guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, magandang umaga sa ating lahat. We are here on behalf of our CHED chairman, Dr. Prospero De Vera III, and our executive director, Attorney Cinderella Filipina S. Pinetis Haro, to convey our warmest greetings to the entire University of Makati family for its status as a CHED-recognized higher education institution. Being a new director of the Office of Institutional Quality Assurance and Governance, I just assumed the office last Monday. That's August 14. I was the former university president of Iloilo Science and Technology University for 8 years. My term ended last August 4, 2023, and it's just timely that I transferred to CHED to serve the government. So being the new director of this office that processed applications for such recognition, it is my hope that this university continues to endeavor to ensure its adherence to quality standards at all times. As of now, UMak is one of the 6 looks that were granted the CHED institutional recognition this year, and one of the 103 recognized looks out of the total 145 LGU established institutions that applied for recognition as a higher education institution. This means that being recognized as a higher education institution is not easy to achieve, as discussed by the Vice President, your journey. But of course, it may be a very colorful journey. But of course, you will feel the reward of it. The CHED always ensures that its standards and requirements are reviewed and revised accordingly. Those that were granted institutional recognition like UMak are expected not to rest on its laurels. Your status as CHED-recognized higher education institution is based on CMO number 32, series of 2006, or the policies, standards, and guidelines on establishments and operation of local colleges and universities. It has been revised by CMO number 18, series of 2022. This new set of requirements will have to be complied by all looks with or without institutional recognition following the transition period as provided in the new issuance. Maintaining UMak's compliance with the standards will always be a testament of your hard work, passion, and dedication. May this institutional recognition inspire you to continue working and loving your dear UMak to achieve your vision to be the primary instrument to mold Makati youth into productive citizens and IT-enabled professionals, including in them good moral values and desirable personality development. Let us savor this moment because after our celebrations, another set of challenges awaits us. New CHED issuances for programs and institutions, changing landscape of our education system, the fourth industrial revolution, internationalization, artificial intelligence, and other exciting developments are a few of the issues that affect the educational sector. Rest assured that the CHED is always here to support higher education institutions like UMak as you navigate through these challenges and developments. The CHED expects that UMak shall continuously provide quality education and ensure its graduates are globally competitive and responsive, first and foremost, the needs of the community. Once again, congratulations to the University of Makati for receiving institutional recognition as a higher education institution from the Commission on Higher Education. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Director Muyong, for delivering a truly enlightening and inspiring special message. So may we also call on the stage the former CHED Education Supervisor, Dr. Bellaflor Coronado, to give a short message highlighting the importance of CHED recognition.
Yes, impromptu. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you now, celebrating the institutional recognition from CHED. And I feel so very happy talaga because with my work, no, my partner, your dean here, Sir Berganya, it reminds me how we really work for the COPC of the different programs under my supervision, which is a teacher education. So sabi ko nga, a while ago, it's so nice pala to witness, no, the reaping of your success, your, the quality, the struggle. I don't know what to say, but I felt so very, I appreciate this moment that I'm here. Actually, I don't know, I don't expect that to be here because I'm no longer in the CHED, but because of the memories in the past and because of the being part of your struggles, no, for striving this institutional recognition, I feel that, you know, the happiness, the success, the fulfillment inside. I'm with you. And of course, congratulations, sir, ma'am, and all the staff, the officials of UMak. I hope that it will be just a start, no? Start of your success. And more, of course, aiming beyond better. Thank you.
Thank you po, Dr. Coronado. And at this point, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Rayan M. Sabate, Chief Coordination and Governance Division of CHED OICAG. So as we continue to unfold the chapters of this remarkable event, it is now time to shift our focus to a pivotal moment, the ceremonial awarding of institutional recognition. So may we call on stage representative from CHED and the members of the UMak Management Committee. And Mayor Abby Binay po.
Republic of the Philippines, Office of the President, Commission on Higher Education. Certification. Pursuant to CHED Memorandum Order Number 32, Series of 2006, entitled Policies, Standards, and Guidelines on the Establishments and Operation of Local Universities and Colleges, the University of Makati has been granted institutional recognition as higher education institution by virtue of the Commission and Bank Resolution Number 03-2023, dated January 17, 2023, and upon its compliance with the requirements for institutional recognition. This certification, however, shall not be construed as a grant of authority to operate any undergraduate and/or graduate degree program without obtaining the required permit or recognition from the Commission on Higher Education, and that until a permit or recognition is granted by the Commission, the University of Makati shall not cost the publication and advertisement of its higher education programs, nor shall accept or admit enrollees. This institutional recognition shall be subjected to revocation if the herein institution fails to operate in accordance with the laws of the Republic of the Philippines and or fails to comply with the rules and regulations of the Commission. This certification is issued to the University of Makati for whatever legal purpose it may serve. Signed, J. Prospero E. De Vera III, DPA, Chairman, Commission on Higher Education.
Thank you and congratulations to us. So continuing our journey through this event, we now move to a moment of deep significance. It is now my distinct honor to invite to the stage the visionary leader who steers the course of our institution. Embodying the very spirit of Borderless University of Makati, aiming beyond better. Please join me in welcoming our very own UMak President, President-elect Zur C. Ramos, to share their response message.
Mayor Abby, Director Muyong, my fellow workers at the University of Makati, mahal namin mga estudyante, mga magulang at lahat na nakikinig, magandang umaga po. Alam niyo po, itong proseso ng pagkuha ng IR, gaya nga po na nabanggit ni VP Net kanina, ay isang mahaba, mahirap na proseso na pinagdaanan ng University of Makati. Ngunit marami po siyang naidulot na unexpected blessings. Unang-una po, dahil po doon sa pag-apply natin ng IR, kailangan nating hanapin kung nasaan ang titulo ng lupa kung saan nakatayo ang University of Makati. Kasi po, isa doon sa mga requirements, you have to show proof of ownership of where the school actually is built. At dahil po yan, sa prosesong ginawa natin yan, ay taas noo ko po talagang sinasabi, at gaya nga po ng sinasabi ng ating mayor, the city is in possession of the title where the university stands. Kaya kung kanina sinasabi ni Mayor na mag-ipon yung tagig ng pambili, I'm sorry, it is not for sale. So, kinikwento ko rin po kay Dr. Muyong kanina na yung proseso kung bakit po ba tayo napunta at nag-apply ng institutional recognition. For the longest time, we have always banked on our autonomy as a local university because a charter created us. Just like state colleges and universities, we have our own charter, and that is allowed in the local government code. And those who have been with us since the time of Professor Lopez, diba, sinasabi nga niya, no, hindi natin kailangan yung CHED because the primary function of CHED, regulatory and developmental, they are more regulatory than developmental, no? So ang daming kailangang fill upan ng mga forms. I remember one time kinikwento ni yung nabanggit po ni VP Net na nag-a-apply tayo for accreditation ng ating nursing program. Sumulat yung CHED sa atin at sabi, ay kailangan ipasaran yung inyong nursing program. At bakit? Kasi kulang daw kami ng libro. Sabi ko, kulang ng libro, tignan nyo nga yung results ng board exam. Nasa top 10 yung mga estudyante namin at 100% ang passing namin. So, but moving forward, what forced our hand really, and I was sharing this to Dr. Muyong earlier, was our experience with our maritime program. Okay? And alam niyo po, we partnered with the ship manning company. Our graduates are on board foreign vessels, 100% employability, but they cannot become officers because they're prevented by Marina to take the exams. Kasi sabi ng Marina, only CHED recognized maritime institutions ang papayagan nilang kumuha ng officership exam. This despite the fact na sabi ko nga, nakasakay na sa barko yung mga graduates namin. 100% employability. Walang binabayaran kahit ni 5 yung mga maritime graduates. So, our hand was forced to apply for institutional recognition. Kasi sabi sa amin ng CHED, hindi naman pwedeng piecemeal. Kailangan, para mabigyan namin kayo ng recognition sa maritime, you must get IR first. So, our journey, sabi nga kanina, was difficult. In fact, nagpunta pa ako ng CHED noon, ang yabang ko pa. Sabi ko, meron na kaming level 3 accreditation sa Alcocoa. So, hindi nyo na kami kailangang kuhanan ng COPC. But again, when we subjected ourselves, we found out that we have a lot of deficiencies in more areas to improve. And that is one of the best things that also happened when we subjected ourselves for the application of IR. So, we would also like to thank CHED for that by telling us na kahit na sa paniwala nyo na magaling na kayo at marami na kayong na-accomplish, ay kailangan tignan nyo pa rin. You really have to examine yourselves still and continuously review yourselves. And alam nyo po, itong IR na to, this now sparks a challenge for us. Sabi nga kanina, yung team ay borderless. Okay? To reach for levels of center of development, center of excellence. And sabi ko nga po kay Dr. Muyong, when I was elected as president of the University of Makati, one of the goals that we've set for our institution is to be the first local university to be ranked as one of the world's best coming from the Philippines. Kasi alam niyo po, wala pang nakaka-break niyan from LUCs. Only SUCs and private higher educational institutions. At hindi po malayong mangyari yan because now we have an IR from CHED. So, international universities and colleges recognizes us as a higher educational institution from the Philippines. In fact, in our first try for WURI, we ranked between 101 to 200 as the world university rankings as one of the most innovative universities in the world. So hindi po malayo yung pangarap na yun, especially with the able support of our city government led by our city mayor. So, in behalf of the city government of Makati and the University of Makati, we would like to thank, of course, the Commission on Higher Education for giving the institutional recognition status to the University of Makati. And you can be assured that the University of Makati will continuously strive to make our standards better, okay, and to provide the best quality education to all our stakeholders. Muli po, salamat at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, President Ramos, or President X, as we call him. We deeply appreciate your dedication and commitment to fostering a borderless University of Makati that aims beyond better. As we navigate through the chapters of this event, we now approach a moment that symbolizes unity, collaboration, and the forging of partnerships. The ceremonial toast. To raise the symbolic toast, may I now invite to the stage the Vice President for Administration, whose presence embodies the spirit of camaraderie and shared aspirations that define our institution. VP Jewel D. Bulos.
Okay, please raise your goblets. Goblets talaga. Okay. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To our drivers of change, the Board of Regents, the Management Committee, deans, directors, heads of offices, faculty members, non-teaching staff, administrative employees, our students, our service providers, our stakeholders and patrons. Cheers for aiming beyond better. Cheers for calibrating our mindsets. This institutional recognition from the Commission on Higher Education is one of the pieces of evidence that we have strengthened and solidified our commitment to move for greatness. Let this event be full of joy, unity, and cherished moments. May we all intensify our passion and endlessly create footprints that will be part of the history of our beloved University of Makati. Herons were named among the most intelligent birds. Let us all spread our wings as we fly high around the globe. Hail to UMak without borders. Hail to the best local university. Mabuhay ang isang tagad. God bless the City of Makati and God bless the University of Makati. Cheers!
Once again, congratulations. You may now take your seats. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, VP Bulos. I know it was indeed spine tingling, huh? So I know now this could be one of the legal ways. One of the legal, one of the legal ways. And I'm looking forward to the next year. Yeah. All right. At this point, may we once again call Director Muyong and Dr. Coronado to be back to the stage, and members of the Management Committee and Mayor Abby as we award their Certificate of Appreciation. All right, so please all settle. Everyone, we now transition to a segment that promises to deepen our understanding and ignite our aspirations, the Convocation Talk. To introduce our resource speaker, may I invite on the stage the VP for Student Services and Community Development, VP Virgilio Tabu.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our convocation speaker who will give meaning to this year's theme, Borderless, University of Makati, Aiming Beyond Better. Our convocation speaker is the Executive Director of the Second Congressional Commission on Education, which is tasked to assess the education system in the Philippines and provide policy recommendations for reform. He recently completed his PhD at the University of Cambridge as a scholar of the Jardine Foundation and the Cambridge Trust. He is concurrently faculty of the Ateneo de Manila University, research fellow at the University of the Philippines Center for Integrative and Development Studies, and research affiliate at the Program for Research on Private Higher Education at the State University of New York in Albany. Our convocation speaker previously served as Executive Director for and Director of the K-12 Transition Program at the Commission on Higher Education and Legislative Officer in the Philippine Senate under then Senator Edgardo G. Angara, who chaired the Committee on Education in the 19th Congress. He was also Chief of Party of Youth Works Philippines, a 5-year youth empowerment and workforce development project implemented by the Philippine Business for Education, or PBED, in partnership with USAID. He completed his Master of Education in International Education Policy at the Harvard University Graduate School of Education as a Fulbright scholar, and his Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast Communication at the University of the Philippines in Diliman, magna cum laude. Dear colleagues, let us give a warm welcome to our convocation speaker, Dr. Carol Mark Yee.
Hello, magandang umaga po. Kamusta po ang UMak? Congratulations on your institutional recognition from CHED. I was joking the CHED people who were my previous colleagues. Sabi ko, uy, regulatory daw kayo. Kailangan nyo nang magbago. But I think, no, pero to be honest, when we were in CHED, and of course there were many debates about institutions like UMak and PLM, laging, yes, walang institutional recognition from CHED, but we know that they're better than many HEIs that actually have recognition. And so it was very difficult to actually categorize you, no? Because we knew you were excellent, and we knew you were so focused on employability, industry connected, and it was something that we aspired for so many higher education institutions. And yet, we did not know how to categorize. And so now, with an institutional recognition, it really facilitates many more conversations, collaborations with CHED. And I hope it really does bring UMak to even greater heights than you already have achieved. Before I begin, kasi I'm from EdCom too, and we are working closely with Dr. X, but I wanted to ask how many of you actually know about EdCom and what we are doing? Itong si ma'am. Nagdalawang speech ka kanina, ma'am. What is EdCom? Sino sa inyo nakarinig na about EdCom? Okay. 3 pa lang, 4. Okay. Ah, yes. Friends kami. Ha? You're updated. Na-update ka pala, ma'am. So what is EdCom?
Hindi ko rin alam.
Nako, grade 3 learner natin po, parang ganyan. So, EdCom, I'll explain later, but a lot of people ask us, are you with DepEd? Are you reporting to VP Sara or with CHED? Hindi po kami doon, and I'll clarify later. The next question I have is, are we in a learning crisis? Sino nagsasabing yes? Okay. Sino nagsasabing no? Wala. What does a learning crisis mean? What does being in a learning crisis mean? Dito po ako sa may likod. Umoo kayong lahat. Walang nag-no. Oh, sino makakasagot? What does a learning crisis mean? What does it say about our learners? Walang tumitingin sa akin sa mata. Dito po sa row na to. Hi, ma'am. What does having a learning crisis in our country mean? And why is it a big problem? Mismatch in terms of what is not matching? Education and the skills that they have and what they need in the workplace. Okay. Then if I ask you, what do you think is the biggest problem in higher education today in the Philippines? If there is one thing that is the biggest problem that if you were going to give us an assignment in EdCom, we should fix in the next 3 years, what is that? Si ma'am narinig ko may sinasabi kanina. Overload. Sino yung overload? Yung teacher, yung student? Parehas. Parehas. Pero hindi po ba nag-revise na yung PSGs ng CHED? after K to 12 para daw mabawasan ng units. So paano kaya natin pwedeng gawin yun? So overloaded ang teachers, overloaded ang students, pero may mismatch sa kailangang skills. Bakit ganun?
Na nire-require nila.
Ano yun, ma'am?
Maybe the competencies that being required is not clear.
By CHED. Dapat po sinabi natin kanina. Minsan po when we have the opportunity, let's say it. No, just kidding. Sige, I'll start. Do I have a clicker or will I just say next slide? Sige, next slide na lang. EDCOM 2 was passed into law in July of 2022, and we have a 3-year mandate. It is to conduct a comprehensive national assessment and evaluation of the problems of Philippine education. And pag sinabi po nating Philippine education, napakalawak ng mandato namin. This is to review problems in early childhood education, pre-kinder, from 0 to 4 years old, and all the way until higher education and even lifelong learning. So even graduate studies, upskilling and reskilling opportunities, even if you are much older, you're still a learner. And are there opportunities for you? Or are there not? And what should we do about it? Next slide. Because we are a congressional commission, my commissioners are actually legislators, and I have 10, 5 from the Senate and 5 from the House. Sila po yung mga committee chairpersons ng basic and higher and technical education from both sides of Congress. So we have Senator Win, Kong Roman, Kong Mark, and then other members of the commission who have long experiences and track records in supporting education reform. Si Senator Joel, Senator Sunny, Kong Kiko, who was previously president of Philippine Women's University and is now Congressman of Negros, Kong Khalid, Kong PJ, Senator Pia, Senator Cheese. So we have 10 legislators na ang trabaho is to understand with us the problems of Philippine education, particularly for the Standing Committee on Higher Education, in which Professor X is part of as a standing committee member representing the concerns of local universities and colleges. It is co-chaired by Senator Cheese Escudero and Kong Mark Go, kasi po sila yung chair sa House and sa Senate. Next slide. We also have members of the Advisory Council with us. So we have Father Ben Nebres. Siya po yung natitirang EDCOM 1 member na nasa EDCOM 2 pa rin. Dr. Cinch Bautista, previously Commissioner of CHED and also Vice President of UP. We also have representatives of industry. Kasi po, nauunawaan ng mga mambabatas na hindi pwedeng edukasyon lang iisipin natin pero hindi naman related sa mga trabahong available pagka-graduate. And so we have members from industry, local government, civil society, and also other government agencies. Next slide. It's an EDCOM 2 because there was an EDCOM 1. Next slide. Sino pong nakakaalala ng EDCOM 1? Lalo na daw wala pa. Next slide. Si Sir naalala. Next slide. Sino po sa inyo yung nakakakilala sa mga taong nasa picture na to? Ayan. Oo, si Senator Angara. I think this one is Bagaching or someone. Carlos Padilla. So, EDCOM 1 happened in the 1990s. Kung naalala po natin yung Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, DEX, it was the Ministry of Education that was then studied by the first EDCOM. And after EDCOM conducted its comprehensive review of the problems of Philippine education post-1980s, it recommended the trifocalization of education to 3 agencies. So next slide. It proposed the creation of DepEd, of CHED, of TESDA. It proposed the Teacher Professionalization Act of 1994, na nagiging basis natin for the licensure examination for teachers. It proposed the Modernization Act of PRC also. It proposed the Teacher Education Council to ensure that we improve the quality of our teaching force. So marami pong, the architecture of our education today as system today, as we know it, was really designed following the recommendations of the first EDCOM in the 1990s. And because the legislators felt that 30 years after, we are in such big trouble because of the learning crisis that we needed an extraordinary effort to reform things from a systems level and not piecemeal. Kasi on a year-to-year basis, of course there are efforts. There's DepEd, there's CHED, there's TESDA. Pero sometimes hindi po nagtutugma or nagdidikit-dikit yung mga reforms. Ang sabi ko nga, in our hearing last week with most of these agencies, it's only one learner who goes from ECCD Council na mag-a-attend ng DepEd, mag-a-attend ng CHED. But what they face, the realities and what they are taught are so different and sometimes incoherent. It is one learner, but they are not supported as they go through the entire system. Minsan, they fall through the cracks pa because may mga potholes that no one is minding. And across those gaps, there are no bridges and there is no one minding it. And that is our role, to find where the gaps are, to fill them, and to make sure that we are able to create the ladders and the bridges where they do not exist. Next slide. Ito po yung mga batas na sinabi ko kanina that was proposed by the first EDCOM. Next slide. Naalala niyo po yung title ng libro kanina ng EDCOM 1, Making Education Work. And I guess our question is, did we get to make education work after 1993? 30 years after, are we now better off than before? Where are we today? Most of the things I will present to you will be in higher education, but I wanted to share with you 2 insights that even to me was very striking, and I've worked in the education policy space for a very long time, so I wanted to share it with you. Next slide. Malnutrition and stunting is a big problem of the country. Majority of our children are malnourished and stunted, and we have one of the highest rates in the world. Inaral po namin siya from conception. So these are nutritionally at-risk mothers, meaning malnourished girls, women, getting pregnant, conceiving, bearing a child, and its impact on the child. And then you have 0 to 6 months, 7 to 24 months. Ito po yung tinatawag natin na first 1,000 days. And then 2 to 3 years old, 3 to 4 years old, and then kinder. So 5 years old. Sino pong mga ina dito? Mga may anak. Yan. You know, there are many feeding programs all over the country. And a lot of organizations donate for nutrition and feeding programs. But the literature tells us that if you feed them or if you provide them food when they are already in grade 5, grade 6, it will no longer help them strengthen their cognitive functions because those are developed in the first 1,000 days of life. Dito po, upon conception until 24 months, what we did was to map out what we are investing in as a government and how many children we are supporting. We found that only 12-13% of nutritionally at-risk mothers are getting nourishment support. Almost 90% malnourished. At sila malnourished sila, pag nanganak sila, mag-breastfeeding man sila. Wala silang naipapasang nutrients sa mga anak nila. Yung first 1,000 days po natin, 60% of our mothers in the Philippines are exclusively breastfeeding, but 40% do not. What happens to the 40%? And there are many reasons for this. Minsan, the mom is not home. Nag-OFW. Minsan, wala sa kanyang bayan kasi nagkasambahay, nagtatrabaho sa ibang lugar sa Pilipinas. Minsan, hindi talaga niya kaya. Maraming constraints. But how are we serving them and that 40%? When it comes to 7 to 24 months, lalo pang lumaki. 58%. And the data shows that the stunting prevalence diverges in terms of prevalence or likelihood between the rich and the poor beginning 7 months. So pag ikaw mahirap, talagang taas, bubulusok pataas yung stunting rate mo at 7 months and it stays there until you get old. So I'm telling people now and I'm telling you, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, pag may pamangkin kayo, or if you're participating in any nutrition or feeding programs, if you need to prioritize, do it here. Because when you do it here, you improve the chances of the child to really fully develop their cognitive functions and improve their performance in school, improve their health, improve their life outcomes later on in life. When you get beyond this, it is irreversible. The damage has been done. Even if you keep feeding them, maging obese man yan pagtanda, hindi na yan kayang bumalik sa pwede niya sanang ma-develop nung unang mga buwan. So please, Spread the word because not a lot of people seem to know. Next slide. There's a learning gap of 5.5 years. And when we speak of the learning crisis in general, most people would refer to this problem. What is a learning gap of 5.5 years? It means to say that our children are in school for 13 years, but when the actual learning is checked, it's 13 minus 5.5. Na sana kung natuto sila ng maayos, nakasave sana ng 5.5 years yung estudyante, hindi na lang sila pumasok kasi wala naman silang natutunan. So nag-extend tayo ng schooling in terms of number of years, but in terms of learning, it is not happening. So quality sometimes over quantity. When we looked at countries all over the world, Africa has much fewer years of schooling than we. Pero pantay lang tayo in terms of learning. Kasi mas natututo sila in fewer years. Tayo nasa school, pero walang nangyayari. And I wanted to highlight that there are variances. Yung top 20% natin, so these shaded figures refer to those who have below basic proficiency. Ibig sabihin talagang yung basic hindi niya makaya. This is reading. 55% of the top 20% in terms of household income. Kalahati, kahit mayaman, below basic proficiency. So hindi lamang to a public school problem or a poor problem. It's a problem we all have. Because even those who have the most access to resources and the best schools, kalahati below basic proficiency. But in the bottom 20%, this is almost 100%. Pagdating po sa by school type, in public schools, this is 85%. Private independent schools, meaning those, private dependent, meaning those that are dependent on government scholarships or voucher programs, 77%. And those that are not dependent, kalahati pa rin. It means to say that the problem of learning crisis, the lack of basic proficiencies, we all share it. Our students all have it. And we need to work hard to make sure that we're able to build those foundational competencies. Because kung wala yun, and in the hearing I also mentioned nga, education is a basic human right, but it is also an enabling right. Because kung wala ka, especially in the first grades, kinder, grades 1, grade 2, grade 3, if you don't develop numeracy, the ability to add simple numbers, or literacy, to read, and to be able to comprehend texts, you could not learn anything else above that. Even if you have the most sophisticated universities, even if you have all the scholarships in the world, if you don't have those foundations, everything else will be for naught. So we have to mobilize amongst ourselves because marami pong graduates natin and maybe many of our students also have this problem still. Kitang-kita po natin yun. And even in our day-to-day lives, we see it. Basic things, nagkakamali talaga. Bumabalik po sa foundational skills. Next slide. So trends and issues in higher education. And I chose just 5. Next slide. Access to quality higher education narrowed in the last decade. So I looked at data from 2010 to 2018. I'm not sure if you're familiar, I'm sure maybe you are. Yung sa private po, autonomous deregulated, yung highest quality private institutions. In SUCs, SUC level 4. So yun po yung datos kasi sa LUCs walang similar tiering na available and so I was unable to do that there. But what I checked was we expanded access to higher education. Tumaas po yung participation rate natin and we're about 40%. That's good. One of the highest also based on our income class. But access to quality, meaning to say who had access to good quality institutions in terms of proportion from 2010 to 2018. What do we see? Do we have the skills? May competencies tayo to assess charts? Or wala pala? Ang part po ng talk ko po, ipapadala ko dito yung mga PISA exam, ipapatake ko po sa inyo. I-check natin if you will fare better than our learners. What do you see? What color should we look at is most striking to you? Sigaw po. Purple. It expanded from 33% to 41%. That is SUCs and LUCs in general. Yung hindi level 4. Yung level 4, yung access to the top quality SUCs, stagnant, 6 to 7% in the past decade. Nandito po, sinama ko sa 7%. Ang autonomous deregulated bumagsak from 26 percentage points to 18. So what happened? The profile of learners shifted. A lot left or disappeared from private autonomous deregulated, our best quality private institutions, and transferred to SUCs and LUCs that are not of the best quality. That is what happened in the past decade. But obviously, quality here is narrowly defined. Again, it is defined in terms of inputs, which is what autonomous deregulated. Most metrics are still inputs, although it tries to weave in some outcomes. Pero maybe we should ask ourselves, how should we define quality? And in LUCs, and this is a question that we will ask, what is quality in LUCs? How do we make sure or gauge quality across the 140 that that Ched mentioned earlier? And how do we encourage all of them to become access to quality and not just access alone? Next slide. College graduates dominate TVET graduates in recent years. Meaning to say, yung gumagraduate po ng TVET, hindi na high school grads. Yung nagti-TVET po, college graduates sila, nagte-TECVO courses, nag-NC1, NC2. Bakit kaya? Some of them maybe need hard skills. Some of them need a certain certification to get into a certain job or to go abroad. But what does it mean also of us and the college degrees that we give? That either it is not matched to the opportunities out there, or that it does not give them the hard skills that can get them hired in the positions they are looking for. And that is a point for reflection for us. Why is this happening? It's good that they are pursuing skilling opportunities, but why is it that their college degree did not give them those skills? Next slide. Returns to higher education have declined substantially by 28 to 36 percentage points between 2005 and 2019. Yung returns to college education is what you get as outcome in the labor market in terms of wages after you graduate 3 to 5 years. That's what I compared. Kumpara siya sa isang estudyante na nag-drop out elementary pa lang. So dati po, from 2001 to 2010, a college graduate could earn up to 183% more than someone who did not finish any level of education. The trend was going up until 2010. Ngayong 2019, pabagsak na po siya. Meaning to say, the value of a college degree is going down. Because we have an oversupply, and maybe there are concentrations of college graduates only in specific industries or fields. Pare-parehas na yung mga graduates natin. Pare-parehong courses ang tinitake. Pare-parehong industries at jobs ang ina-applyan. And therefore, companies can pay less because their demand is lower. Next slide. The sharpest fall happened for those in the services sector. 65.9 percentage points. Nakita niyo po kung ganong kalaki ang bagsak? Almost nasa 90% na lang yung agwat niya sa isang nag-drop out nung elementary. That is a huge, huge drop. And that will change the profile and maybe the interest of many students to pursuing college. It should also wake us up in higher education. Why are we, seemingly, at least based on data, streaming everyone towards the services sector? What we've found is that during those years, agriculture and manufacturing returns have remained stable, and there is still demand there. Are there college graduates that are being trained for that sector? What jobs or courses would those be? We need to find out. This is most pronounced for women. Kasi mas marami pong women graduates, kasi mas mataas talaga yung level of attainment ng mga kababaihan. Yung mga girls daw po sa Pilipinas, sila yung pinag-iinvesta ng pamilya ng edukasyon. Sa bata daw, ipapamana ang lupa or yung bahay sa anak na babae, pag-aaralin. Next slide. Access to quality education remains limited and concentrated in specific regions. Pag tinignan po natin yung datos, karamihan nasa Manila, Davao, Cebu, nandoon. But beyond where we are, access to quality is really poor. And that is partly CHED's role also, to proactively nurture centers of excellence, to make sure that wherever you are, there is access to quality, and not just transferring to Manila or Cebu or Davao. Next slide. Licensure examination passing remains low. I heard that sa inyo, that's not your problem, but for many HEIs, it is. I had a meeting with PRC 2 days ago. Sabi ko, obviously, there's something that we need to rethink, no? Kasi for teachers, for example, top profession, one of the top courses in terms of applications for college, teaching talaga, teacher education. But yung passing rate natin, in the past decade, 30 to 40%. Meaning to say, ang daming pinag-aaral ng pera ng bayan na afterwards would not even pass the licensure, would not even practice the profession and become a teacher. And kailangan natin ng magagaling na teacher. So why is that the case? And the passing rate average, and this is a poor metric of quality actually, kasi ang nagtitake lang ng licensure exam yung gustong mag-take. Tapos, average pa to across all courses. But about half don't make it after finishing a diploma. So actually, you're lucky because that's not a problem of your graduates, but many of our graduates might be finishing with diplomas that are just paper and have no real value in terms of preparing them for the workforce or giving them the aptitude to actually pass licensure examinations for their professions. This is a crime. This is something that we should hold universities accountable for also. Next slide. Yung kabalintunaan dito, or the irony of it, is that while we are all over the place in terms of supporting access to higher education, I mean, it's good. We have the support, we have the resources. Many more could now enter SUCs, LUCs, and even private. But contrast that to the reality that there are many professions where we have huge deficits for. In 2017 and 2018, I did studies on healthcare professionals. Yung deficit natin for doctors is 60,000. Yung nag-graduate po every year, 3,000. So wala na po tayong lahat sa buhay na ito, hindi pa natin napupunan yung deficit natin sa doctors. And most medical schools are private. So why not public institutions, considering that it is government funds investing, and it is government that has a universal healthcare law? Because even if you have that law, if there are no doctors to serve, then who do you see? And we're talking about doctors in general, not even specialization. So kung may rayuma po tayo, kung meron po tayong hypertension, yung mga cardiologist, oncologist, iba pa po yun. Hindi pa natin binilang yun. Pero kulang din po yun. As many of you would know. For dentistry, our deficit is at 52,000. Ilan yung nag-take? In 2017, 3,498. Again, malayo po. And then for pharmacy, there are only 101 HEIs out of 2,400 offering pharmacy. And there are regions in the country without a single pharmacy program. Region 5, Mimaropa, Caraga, and Barm. Paano po kaya ang mga Mercury Drug at Watsons doon? Mahirap po siguro magkasakit. So, we have to plan human resource for our country better. And sometimes, yes, we could wait for government to come together. I wish NEDA, DOST, CHED can sit down, PRC. Where do we need it? What region? What municipality? What province? But more likely than not, it might not happen. But we are here. Universities exist and are in their communities. It is really just having a pulse on the ground to understand, what does my community need? What professionals are we lacking? Kung tayo lahat taga Makati, ano yung kulang nating specialist? Hindi kaya dapat doon tayo mag-invest? And if I were a university in another province, that will also be my question for myself. I was in Zamboanga before. Sabi ko doon sa, my Center of Excellence in Fisheries. Sabi ko, ano pong nangyayari sa fisheries program natin? Sir, baba na po ng enrollment. Talagang pabagsak ng pabagsak. Last year, 5 lang po yung graduates namin. Sabi ko, 5 lang. But you're a Center of Excellence. You should be attracting, no? And you should be pushing the frontiers in terms of fisheries for Region 9. What happens to your graduates? Sabi nung dean, ay sir, hindi ko po alam. Kaya pala, if you don't know what industry needs, if you don't know where your graduates are going, if you don't ask what competencies they are lacking and they want to learn, how do you make sure that your program is responsive to the available jobs and opportunities and the needs of your community? Kaya sa akin, let's not depend on agencies of government to do the heavy lifting in terms of being responsive. We are here. We are professionals. We are smart. We have tools. We are from our communities. Let's ask the question ourselves. We have links to the communities. We all have emails. We all have cell phones. Magtawag tayo, magtanong. Hindi tayo pwedeng maghintay na bumagsak galing sa taas. Please offer these programs. I mean, that's ideal, but it should not just come from the top. We could do our share in finding that out. Next slide. I guess I'll try to go through this quickly. In all over the world, a college degree, and even in the Philippines, there is a strong attachment to a college degree because of its equalizing power. What does it mean? Mahirap ka man o mayaman, pag makatungtong ka ng kolehiyo at nagkaroon ka ng diploma, parehas na tayo ng opportunities after we graduate. We are both college graduates. Whether we are rich or poor, we are one and the same, and we are both competitive. We have access to equal opportunities and outcomes in the labor market. Ang tanong ko po, because this was part of my PhD thesis, is this the case in the Philippines today? What do you think? In Makati, yes. Si Ma'am, Miss Logan. Comms officer po kayo. Hindi, joke lang. No, yes, you are. Yes, you are. I checked your data. You are. But for the most part, let's see. Next slide. So ang tanong ko po, does it matter where you go? Parang our college degrees equal? If you go to a high-status public, so yung SUC Level 4, and actually sinama ko po kayo sa SUC Level 4 dito sa high-status public because I knew of UMak and PLM, sinama ko po kayo dito. High-status non-profit, yung mga autonomous deregulated. So ito yung mga religious universities, ito yung hindi. Tapos regular HEIs, yung walang recognition from CHED. Next slide. Ito po yun. Yung college and higher, ito po yung mga magulang na mas nakakaigi sa buhay. Orange po yung line. Yung blue are those that have less education. What does it show us? If you go to a regular university that does not have status, may agwat po yung outcomes mo in life. 3 to 5 years after graduation. But if you go to a high-status public, whether you are rich or poor, it is equal. The same is true for high-status non-profit, like Ateneo, LaSalle, Saints Co. Nandito po sila. But if you go to a non-high-status institution, a regular university, if you are poor, your outcomes in life and your trajectory will be different from those that are advantaged. Next slide. Who is most likely to reach middle income? Ito po. Itong dalawa ulit. High status public and high status non-profit. if you go to a regular university, it is less likely, only 30% of them reach middle income. Next slide. Kamusta po tayo? So that is where we are in terms of higher education. You are doing a good job as UMak. You are giving social mobility to your graduates. But in terms of moving yourself forward, we cannot stay stagnant. We need to keep looking and assessing whether our graduates are still getting those outcomes in the coming years. And if not, how do we pivot? How do we continuously evolve to make sure that they are ahead of the pack and we give them the quality of education, but also the outcomes, the equalizing power that they deserve? In EdCom, as I mentioned earlier, our concerns are more than just higher ed kasi buong span po yung tinitingnan namin. Next slide. So we're looking at 28 priorities, going from nutrition and feeding to early childhood to higher education. Next slide. Teacher ed, TVET, and lifelong learning. Next slide. So napakarami. Pinakita ko lang po. Next slide. In higher education, I'll just share what our priorities are. And tingnan natin kung nagtutugma doon sa sinabi nila na overloaded daw ang teachers at ang estudyante. So, our issues include access to quality higher education. How do we improve the developmental and regulatory capacity of CHED to ensure quality in all HEIs? The next is ensuring closer coordination between industry and academe, so check. Harmonizing the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the Philippine Skills Framework na ngayon magkaiba pa, kailangan pagtabihin, and improving access to quality of higher ed. Meron din po tayong tinitingnan na framework for the establishment and sustainability of HEIs, especially LUCs. We all know that after RA 10931, parami po ng parami ang LUCs na natatayo. That will be, it can be a problem, especially if there is no clear framework that delineates their role in their communities versus SUCs versus private versus small, big, medium type of universities. Kasi kung lahat tayo university, lahat mag-o-offer ng PhDs, masters, research degrees, maghihingi ng funds for research, magta-try mag-publish, we will not get anywhere. We need to understand our unique mission in our communities and our unique role in the higher education landscape because it is not all the same. And then we're also looking at complementarity between public and private. Next slide. We're looking at graduate education, research, and innovation. You know, in other countries, the basis of quality undergraduate education is that their faculty members do the research, and the frontiers of their disciplines, and then they teach it in their class. Ang sinishare po nila, mga research publications nila, nalalabas pa lang or kakalabas lang, and sila mismo may mga tanong, and then they involve the students to ask these same questions or to work with them in their research para mahasa yung research skills ng mga estudyante. They sit down together, give each other readings, ask questions, allow themselves to be questioned. The foundation of quality higher education is a strong graduate education. And that is still something that is maybe 10 years from now for us in general. We're also looking at digital transformation and education technologies as well as internationalization, but this is year 2. Next slide. So how can we expand higher education opportunities while supporting national development? We don't exist in a vacuum. We have responsibilities to our learners, we have responsibilities to our community, and also to our country. Because the role of universities ever since has not just been to be nice places to do research. It is to train a high-quality graduate, and it is also to advance technologies. In the context of developing countries like the Philippines, it is also to build a strong teaching workforce. Because yun yung ambag natin to a quality basic education. Those 3 are our missions. Next slide. So I just posed a few questions. How do we improve access to quality? Maybe in the context of LUCs, especially Dr. X is part of our standing committee, this is a question that we have, particularly for LUCs. How can I have a category for LUCs that when I do my chart again, I could say access to quality LUCs expanded in the past decade? We want to be able to say that because currently it is not even in the chart. How do we make sure that we are improving the social mobility of our graduates? Gumawa tayo ng graduate tracer studies, aralin natin, not just are they employed, but what is the quality of employment? How much are they earning? How are they faring compared to other graduates? What could we get them a higher salary? How could we get them there? What other competencies could we build to distinguish them further? Are we sufficiently exploring opportunities and needs in agriculture and manufacturing? Also, sometimes, ito po personally pinupush ko, sometimes we always say, industry-academe mismatch. Let's talk to industry. But sometimes we also need to talk to our learners. What do you want ba? What direction do you wish to take? Kasi baka offer ng course na gusto ng industry, pero hindi naman akma sa gusto ng mga learners natin. We need to be learner-centered, not just in our classrooms, but also in the design of our schools, how we plan. Let's consult our students. Let's talk to high school students. Yun po yung mga gagawin na namin ngayon. In the context of complementarity, how do public institutions differ from private? Next slide. In which priority areas should you focus on? If you have scholarships, where should you give it? What disciplines? What programs? And sana match sa needs ninyo. Hindi yung kung saan na lang gusto mag-enroll. Because we have limited resources, kung magbibuild tayo ng capacity for research, saan? Hindi pwede po kasi yung research funds distributed equally across all disciplines because we will never get there given the amount of resources we have. We need to invest strategically in those that could really fuel advancements in our country. Otherwise, lahat po tayo bagsak. Sabi nga ni dating president ng UP, Fred Pascual, who is now DTI secretary, it's all of us hugging each other at the bottom, not letting anyone rise up. At least for board professions, how do we make sure we have enough supply? And then finally, of course, a lot of your graduates are also employable abroad. How do we make sure that we have a good balance of those who go abroad and those who stay, given national needs? Do we track the percentage of graduates across courses that go abroad and stay here? How do we balance it if we see that most of them are abroad-oriented? So these are questions that I want to just pose to you. I don't have the answers, but these are the questions we are asking ourselves. And in the course of the next 3 years, as we do our job, we hope to propose policies and programs that would give us the answers to this and maybe a good balance. And hopefully a more efficient and effective and quality and accessible higher education system for the next generation. Salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Yi. Thank you, Dr. Yi, for giving us a clear picture of what EdCom is all about and giving us those guide questions that we can use, to reach our goal as an institution. So now, kindly sit back and relax. May we call member of HR? May I have the questions? If you have questions to our speaker. Yes, po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yi, for that excellent presentation. I had a lot of realizations based on the data that you presented, but these are hardly new, and I guess many of us have been navigating through this higher education university for quite some time now. Can relate one way or the other with major issues, no? But I think what stands out would be the problem that we associate with standardization, no? Sayang wala na yung CHED eh.
Dapat nagparinig tayo.
Incidentally, parang while we recognize that standardization and a one-size-fits-all approach seems to be problematic at the very least, our policy responses has been completely to perpetuate this formula of standardization. So, parang in my own research and what you presented, there are universities, there are colleges, and we each have our roles, but everybody wants to aim to be universities. And you cannot really blame institutions to be like that, and you also cannot blame individuals for aspiring to, play in that same system, no? We can look at it both at the institutional and even at the personal level. For example, promotion. When we speak of promotion, everybody wants to be full professor, di ba? Everybody wants to be full professor, everybody wants to publish, but we have to face the reality. There are better teachers, but they're not necessarily good researchers. But the formula that we follow in assigning professorial ranks, which incidentally carries with it higher pay, yun lang naman talagang bottom line doon, is still geared towards research output. I mean, we want to be molded into such kind of level as our teachers, in other words. So the question is, I don't know, I think our president has given us updates on what EDCOM is doing, but I am not sure if there's a conscious recognition on the part of the EDCOM that standardization is problematic, no? I was also looking at the COD, COE. Maybe skewed talaga yung policy responses kasi maybe I don't know, I was just telling Attorney Jewel, maybe it's a chicken and egg question. Baka sila kaya excellent sila, that's why they were given the COE by CHED, is because they're very good in the first place. But what about those who need it the most? So, I don't know if you're already doing that, yung bang tipong you can still participate in the industry of knowledge creation, get the same level of pay as a full professor, for example, in a top-performing university, but continue to, do your share as maybe as a teacher in a local university in Abra or wherever, yung mga ganon. So I don't know if I make sense in my question, Dr. But thank you very much.
No, thank you for that question. I will wash my hands a bit. I was in CHED for 5 years. When I was in CHED, I headed the K-12 transition program. And when we designed the grant for institutional development and innovation, we were conscious in building different tracks. One grant will be 10 million, but for research-oriented big universities who have the readiness for that. But usually kasi it stops there. What we did was to create different categories that if you are not yet at that level and you want to build capacity, you are not excluded. You could apply for the 5 million grant also to get to the next level in the future, the 10 million. In the conversations within EDCOM, it is very clear that the one-size-fits-all does not work. We need to diversify pathways to excellence because autonomy, deregulation, and excellence and development, COEs, CODs, should not just conform to the university type of, the research university model. Kasi ngayon, unintendedly maybe, everyone is being forced to become a research university because what is being required of you, PhDs, peer-reviewed journal publications, what if you're responding to the needs of industry and the call for you in your disciplines that you're offering is not that? Then you could never reach these standards. So it's really a big problem. And that is something that we are actively discussing. The problem naman with that is it is tied to a very, to a word that has a lot of baggage, which is typology. But that is what it is. We need to typologize. We need to create a mechanism to cluster ourselves. And ang sinasabi ko nga, we should not be afraid of it. But maybe we should change the name and not use that word. Because it means to say, for example, for the other LUCs, then you should not be forced to have all of your faculty with PhDs. They should not be asked to have research publications. Instead, collaborate with industry. Develop programs that respond to industry. Design quality programs, applications, projects that allow you to problem solve, to support the work of industry and train them for what companies need. And then by having that, you could be a center of excellence, for example, in engineering, in manufacturing, in agriculture systems. Parang ganyan. Hindi yung, wala ka namang publication eh. Yung faculty mo, yung percentage ng PhD, wala dyan. It should not be like that. Because whatever type you have, there should be a corresponding COE, COD criteria that suits you. There should also be a corresponding grant that suits you. Kasi kung ganyan yung gagawin natin, tapos ang i-offer lang naman lagi, research grants, research grants, research grants, then how do you build partnerships with industry if there are no supports there? What are the incentives? So yun yung mga bagay na kailangan buuin. We should not, I'm sure people are scared of the word typology, but it comes with a lot of benefits. It democratizes access to resources. It allows government to treat you differently, meaning to say, pwede kayong gawa ng plantilla positions for specific position. For example, in other countries, meron pong professors of practice. And if you are an industry-driven organization, university, and you connect with them a lot, wala nga kayong research positions na plantilla, pero meron kayong positions for professors of practice. So you could afford practitioners to work with you. Yeah, so hindi siya, if you don't hit a research university pathway, you are no longer excellent and you will have less resources. You will have similar access to resources or even more access to resources because then it now conforms to your mandate and mission. And that is what we want to build through EDCOM. That is what we want to propose because we have long parang put ourselves in a straitjacket of a research university that honestly is not appropriate to our level as a country. That is a very Western conception that it's not responsive to our needs as a country. And we need to think of things differently. That's my answer. So please help us.
Of the measures for
Yes.
the entry requirement for a faculty member. to
Yes.
enter.
So, pero lahat yun.
And also for DBM also.
Yes. Lahat yun. So, ang kinakausap namin ngayon, NEDA, DBM, GPPB, COA, lahat ng agencies na hindi DepEd-Ched TESDA lang because the problems of government naman or in education is not just DepEd-Ched TESDA. Napakaraming limitations from outside of government that are not set by the three education agencies that really also hinder us from doing our work well. So, but before we engage CSC, dapat malinaw na sa atin ano yung typology. Kasi then we will say, ito na dapat yung positions, ito dapat yung level. And then sa DBM, ito naman dapat yung position classification scheme natin. 'Di ba? In the same way na sa DepEd, sa public schools, yung EDCOM 1 nag-recommend, dati po kasi, to become a principal, isang track lang kayo mula teacher hanggang principal. So para ma-promote, lahat kailangan maging principal. So ang ginawa nila, pinagdalawa. You could be a master teacher and never aspire to be principal, but keep getting promoted and get the same level. We need to do that, but for different types of institutions for higher education. So that's what we are studying. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. We have a question from our audience. Is there a need for CHED and TESDA collaboration to improve the employment status of our college graduates?
Well, yung TESDA po wala namang role sa college graduates. But in general, I think there is a need to collaborate better across agencies. Kasi, there are many, it's hard kasi in government po, agencies, and I'm not sure if you see this, but maybe you also experience it, agencies are so undermanned. Inaral po namin, yung budget po ng CHED, from 4 billion, naging 30 billion in the past 10 years, pero yung plantilla positions, konti lang yung nadagdag. Meaning to say, yung people who do the jobs, tumriple, ilang beses na exponentially umakyat yung workload nila, pero hindi sila nadagdagan ng tao. It makes coordination difficult if your responsibilities keep growing, but the number of people to do it, you don't have. But ideally, we have stronger mechanisms with DOLE, for example, kasi meron silang jobs fit. May LMI sila that tells you these are the jobs that we need graduates for. There are ways to do it more closely, but because I think of the problem of being undermanned, it's really difficult. So structurally, we're also looking at those issues. When we say right-sizing, it means conforming the number of personnel you have to your mandate. Ever since the last rat plan of CHED in 2013, there are 11 laws that added responsibilities to CHED, but not people. And so now we are studying that and then assessing how could we make it better? How could we improve things? And then we hold, at that point, then you ask for targets and hold them accountable because you gave them the resources to do their job. Kasi sa akin, you cannot say, oh, mag-performance-based management tayo. Tingnan natin yung mga targets, i-assess natin, i-monitor natin sila. Pero wala namang resources, wala namang tao, wala namang tulong. Mahirap namang gawin yun. It has to be realistic.
Another question, sir.
Good morning, sir. I really would like to thank EDCOM because we can see a ray of sunshine coming based on your initiatives. When I ask my students in the graduate school, particularly those who are working in DepEd, sabi ko, anong problema ba talaga? Kasi parang ang gagaling nyo. Ang mga estudyante ko sa DepEd, pag tinanong mo, skills-wise, ang gagaling nila, alam nila ang trabaho nila. Pero isa sa problema nila is, yung paiba-ibang practices, paiba-ibang curriculum, na uso si ganito, sinakyan ng DepEd. Ngayon, may matatag curriculum na naman na inilabas at ilo-launch. Nilaunch na. At hindi pa nga natetest yung success level ni Melks. Heto na si matatag. And then, now, later on, when the EDCOM observations come out, will there be a new curriculum to come out again? Kami po ang nagsasuffer sa higher ed kasi the gaps that you are talking about, nakikita ko yung Jenga, no? There are gaps, no? Tumataas pagdating sa amin, meron pang estudyanteng hindi nakakaunawa pag nagbasa. So dito ngayon nagkakaroon din ng problem. How will EDCOM address that, sir? Thank you.
Well, two things. One, kasi what we are doing is complementing DepEd's work. So the revised K-10 is a welcome change because we really needed to decongest the K-12 curriculum. Pag tiningnan mo po yung competencies, a lot of them, it was too much to teach in such little time. And sometimes key stage 1, 2, and 3, talagang iba na yung level. Yung mga estudyante mo parang nakatulala na lang. Totoo, tinuturo mo to sa akin. It needed to be fixed. And it is a welcome change that it is now fixed. And then, it is decongested in different levels and they have fixed misplaced competencies. Kasi minsan, yung kailangan mo matutunan na prerequisite, nasa fourth quarter, pero tinuro mo yung isang lesson ng second quarter. Inayos yun ng revised K-10. What we did to support DepEd there was we were constructive collaborators or critical collaborators. What we did was we got teachers, public and private school teachers, to sit down, workshop each subject and grade level, ask them to check, ano ba, tama na ba yung progression nito? Decongested na ba ito? Does it focus on the fundamentals? What else needs to be changed or fixed to improve how you will teach it? We submitted all of that to DepEd and asked them, look at this and please make sure that before you issue this new curriculum, it covers this. So we are not going to do something na different sa ginawa ng, iba yung ginagawa ng DepEd, tapos biglang after naman kami din meron kaming revised 2.0 K-10. Hindi po ganun. Kasi that is not efficient. And that was one of the challenges they faced in the first EDCOM na iba yung ginagawa ng EDCOM, iba yung ginagawa ng agencies. We are working closely with DepEd so that we could give them feedback as soon as we get something to share. So yun, I think ganun naman yung proseso. Ikukwento ko lang, in terms of, you're in teacher ed, tama? In teacher ed, it was funny because in our meeting with PRC, sabi nila, one problem we face is also the changing curriculum. Why? Because yung mga hindi pumasa na graduates ng old curriculum, pag nag-revise sila ng LET to conform to the new curriculum, mas hindi pa sila makapasa. Sabi niya, bakit kaya yung mga HEIs hindi daw nag-o-offer ng bridging programs para sa mga old curriculum na gusto pang mag-retake para daw ma-conform yung competencies nila at pumasa na sila. Kasi otherwise, retake sila ng retake ng retake. Pero iba yung inaral nila. So maybe that's an idea to think of and also something that it was the first time for us to hear. Oo nga eh. But also, it's also something that HEIs can do eh. Oo. Yes. Are there any more questions? Sige. I think we have 1 and 2 and 3. Sige, 2 na lang daw. It's almost 12. Buti po hindi pa kayo nagugutom.
Good morning, sir.
Edukasyon pa rin po ang iniisip natin. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning po.
Morning.
Ang question ko, sir, paano po kaya makakatulong ang EDCOM? Kasi kanina binabanggit nyo, there's a learning crisis. And part of that, syempre yung mga teachers at yung mga faculty na nagtuturo sa mga learners natin. So paano makakatulong ang EDCOM pagdating sa development ng mga teachers, ng mga faculty, particularly sa HEI? Kasi po, napakalaki ng role ng mga teachers natin para sa mga estudyante. Ano po yung mararecommend nyo na dapat development ng mga teachers natin ngayon? Kasi dapat po tuloy-tuloy din ang learning ng mga teachers na nagtuturo dun sa mga bata. Thank you very much po.
So ma'am, your question is mostly higher ed oriented. No?
Yes, sir. Apo.
When I was in CHED, and maybe, please keep the mic because babalik ko po yung question sa inyo.
Okay, sir. Sige po.
When I was in CHED, I was handling a lot of the faculty development programs. No? So we started scholarships, master's, PhD. We developed programs with foreign universities that were jointly delivered with a local partner. We partnered with Fulbright to send faculty members abroad, and I think we've sent about 150 already under the Fulbright CHED scholarships. We also partnered with SCIANSPO, LSE, University of London, to open up opportunities like these. The second one, and was less popular, was externships or industry immersion programs. We were paying faculty to immerse themselves in industry for 6 months or 1 semester and giving them very, very huge incentives and allowance. Parang 40 or 60,000 per month, if I'm not mistaken. So in other HEIs, higher pa yung nakuha nilang stipend sa amin than yung sweldo nila sa school. But very few people took it. I guess, kasi yun yung mga naiisip kong higher education development opportunities, no? Scholarships, externships, or research. Are there others that you feel is lacking that maybe should be looked into?
Okay, sir. Can I speak po for University of Makati?
Sure.
Yung una pong sinabi niyo, sir, that there are several scholarships, grant from CHED. As you know, we got our institutional recognition just recently. So, hindi po kami qualified for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yung second, yung mga private na ino-offer, wala pong masyado sa amin. So,
I guess nakatali kasi lahat yun sa CHED before.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Opo.
that was the constraint.
So, ang tingin ko, sir, the university should make way for the development of the teachers or the faculty members. Kasi nga, sila talaga yung nasa baba eh. Yung mga teachers yung nagtuturo eh. Para gumaling yung mga bata, dapat mas magaling o pinakamagaling pa yung mga teachers. Kaya yun po yung tanong ko kung ano yung po pwedeng mai-recommend ng EDCOM sa mga HEI na, for example, regular HEI lang sila or bago lang sila na-recognize para po mas ma-improve po ng mga teachers yung trabaho nila at wala na po tayong learning crisis. Sir.
Well, I think isa pang unexplored thing. You know, in other countries, there's a teaching in higher education module that you need to take. What does it mean? Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, parang it's a controversial thing because there's academic freedom in how you teach. That is what most faculty, at least in UP, parang very strong sila sa ganun when I was there. But in other countries, it's not imposing on you a certain pedagogy, but it's making sure that all teachers, even if you are practitioners or you're more of a researcher, that you have a toolkit that when you teach a lesson, you know that there are different ways of teaching it. For example, pwedeng lecture, pwedeng mas project-based, pwedeng case study method, and that you could draw from those toolkits or strategies that are taught to you so that you could teach things differently that's more appropriate to the content that you're going to teach for that lesson. So I guess that's one possibility. Other universities like Ateneo, I think, have started thinking of what that might be for themselves, for their university, for their students. And that is something, if you feel that you have a very specific niche in terms of programs and pedagogies that you should have access to, baka you could articulate that more clearly in your institution para you make sure that if you're a UMak faculty, eto kaya nyo itong gawin. Itong tatlong to, we are excellent in teaching in these 3 modes because we made sure that everyone who comes to UMak knows these. Parang ganon.
Thank you very much po.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question.
Dr. Dago. Okay na. Okay. Dr. Net po, Caryaga.
Sure.
Sir, good morning once
Morning.
again. I'm Net Caryaga. I was struck by that particular slide containing pharmacy. Okay, so that we are short of pharmacy schools to supply pharmacists in the country. Actually, sir, yung 100 na yon naging 124 na schools. Now, ang problema po talaga sa pharmacy schools or sa pharmacy po na program is we have a dearth of faculty members. Why? Because kailangan, unang-una, may master's degree bago ka makapag-teach. So that's one. Now, sa LUCs po, or local universities, we only have 2 schools offering pharmacy program. So one is University of Makati and another is Urdaneta City University. So kapag kapag sa public, no, sa local university or dito sa University of Makati, ang isa pang requirement po, bago ka makakuha ng full-time faculty would be kailangan may master's degree as required by civil service. Sir, so how can we address yung pag-increase ng schools na yon when it comes to the public sector? If, first and foremost, we already have a dearth of qualified faculty members, nire-restraint pa somehow ng CMO. And then, sa civil service pa, bawal pang, or hindi pwede makakuha ng full-time faculty member kung wala kang master's degree. So, how can we solve yung problema na yon given, sabi niyo nga sir, na we have universal healthcare. Actually, that's integrated already in the curriculum of allied health programs to address not just yung lack of doctors, but also other healthcare professionals to come into play para doon sa implementation of the universal healthcare. So, how can EDCOM help us along that line? Modesty aside, sir, I am the president of the Association of Pharmacy Schools in the country.
Could you please write to us containing that problem, and then I will refer it to the standing committee so that we could act on it?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was in Pasok for their General Assembly 2 weeks ago, and kinuwento naman nila that for nursing, they have the same problem. Pero, so sa nursing, ang problema naman nila is salary grade. Na yung salary grade ng faculty is mas mababa sa salary grade ng nurses in hospitals. And so wala silang ma-hire. So it's really a matter of, pag nag-adjust yung government, nag-adjust siya for all, hindi niya naiisip ano bang implication nito sa iba-ibang industriya. And then, pagdating sa PRC or the board professions, the difficult part is there are the boards. And to be honest, there are many boards and there are many similar iterations of this problem. I'm not sure if EDCOM can finish at isa-isahin lahat yon and fix all of that. But we need to prioritize. So sa amin, what are the priority sectors that we need to solve these problems for? And healthcare is clearly one of them, and we need to do that. But whether or not we could do it for all, I cannot promise because we only have 3 years. But we need to do it for healthcare, and we should work with DOH to align all of these policies. Kasi hindi talaga nagtutugma ang mga policies ng gobyerno. But I'm surprised that it was, kasi akala ko it would be CMOs that would define who could teach. But bakit CSC? If they teach in a public higher education, the CSC suddenly requires a master's degree? But even if CHED does not ask for it, parang I don't think it is, parang let me study it but it does not seem to be within the scope of CSC to add to CMOs with CHED determined policies on who could teach in universities, diba? So maybe it's the level, maybe because iba yung level na mas mataas na and usually CSC asks for it. But anyway, we won't find the answer now, pero please write to us officially and then we could act on it officially. Because of the CSC. But how has this been brought up to CSC in the past or CHED? Noted. What CSC policy is this? Do you have the circular number certificate? What? Sige. Okay. Okay. But pero did you bring this up to CHED already and to CSC? What was their response?
Because we have a CHED technical panel for pharmacy education. So we
Yes.
have brought this up. We were actually having this possibility or requesting or suggesting because we have a PharmD degree. So we have schools offering Doctor of Pharmacy. So it's a 2-year, but still it's a professional degree. It's not equivalent to a master's degree. So maaari po ba na kung meron tayong mga graduate na nitong 2 taon na ito na PharmD, pwede po ba na maging equivalent, or hindi naman siguro pwedeng maging equivalent kasi kahit po sa Philippine Qualifications Framework, hindi equivalent yung PharmD doon sa master's. So pwede po ba na maging flexible somehow doon sa implementation of the CMO na sana makonsider yon para makapag full-time ang isang faculty sa isang local or isang SUC.
What was the response?
Apo.
When was that?
It's in a public orientation po yun. Yeah.
Okay. But there's no official responses?
Wala po.
Oh, sige.
It was just, brought into the table for discussion.
Oh, sige.
Ganun
Right.
lang po, sir.
Please write it to us para we have the documentation and then all of the problems para then we could engage
Okay.
with the agencies concerned.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yi. May we now call on stage members of the management committee and may we have the certificate of recognition or appreciation. Sir. All right. Everyone, please sit back. I just want allow us to show you a recap of what happened during our AUC last year. This is only a 5-minute video. In a captivating discourse, Kim Brian Chua, the speaker, highlighted the instrumental role of his company, Jobs 180, in bridging the academic industry gap. He emphasized the importance of hard and soft skills in the job market, discussing the profound impact of the pandemic on their operations. Mr. Chua underscored the significance of emotional intelligence in the workplace, focusing on virtual interactions and the emerging trend of intelligent process automation, IPA. He emphasized adaptability and creativity in the professional industry and advocated for skills and competencies over formal education in the hiring process. Action items included considering class setups, promoting documentation and research, exploring blockchain technology, and fostering a love for reading for a well-rounded education. In the realm of education, Dean Corazon Benoza from Higher School of UMak explored the pivotal role of educators and the importance of teaching with passion, diligence, and adaptability to modern technology. She introduced the TKS acronym, highlighting the significance of delight and diligence in the educational sphere. Emphasizing centennial learners, she proposed integrating smartphones and social media into teaching methods. Dean Benoza provided 9 tangible actions for educational improvement, including safety measures during the pandemic and leveraging smartphones for enhanced teaching. She advised facilitating online payments, remaining vigilant against scams, and using student evaluations like product reviews. Dean Benoza stressed learning recovery, supporting students' well-being, and implementing the proposed transformative actions. She advocated crucial safety protocols, comprehensive guidelines, and thorough evaluations to ensure students' progress and proficiency. As the planning director of the university, Ms. Camille C. Navarro embarked on charting the institution's future by emphasizing collective synergy and the fusion of brilliant minds. She introduced scenario planning and education recovery, shedding light on the future of education, exploring class setups, cultivating a culture of documentation, and positioning the university as a pioneering global institution were key objectives. The Foresight Conference paved the way for recalibrating their mission and vision, leading to fruitful endeavors and institutionalizing excellence. The Purple Cow concept sparked debates, while the tribe of herons connected with their collective purpose. Ms. Navarro's presentation aimed to navigate the university towards a better normal, resiliently preparing them for the challenges ahead. In a transformative discussion, Technology-Based Learning Hub Director Stanley Fernandez emphasized the pivotal role of technology in shaping the future of the University of Makati. He highlighted successful digital practices within the Registrar's Office and proposed a knowledge management library. Director Fernandez advocated for a chat box for seamless communication, the integration of Facebook into classrooms where strict guidelines, and the creation of groundbreaking KTBL Center. Flexible learning spaces were seen as a revolutionary way to impart knowledge. Embracing technology's relentless advancement, the university aimed to foster sustained growth, extend technological prowess to the wider community, and break down barriers for collaboration and innovation. This vision promises extraordinary progress and boundless opportunities for the university community. In an inspiring discussion on education quality, lifelong learning, and leadership, Dr. Jason Vergania, former Center for Quality Development Director and current College of Education Dean, emphasized a holistic approach to quality assurance across the university. He advocated for institutional collaboration and innovation, recognizing their vital roles in shaping the future of education. He highlighted the importance of cultivating a culture of excellence and a well-defined brand identity aligned with the university's values. Clear goals, accountability, and effective leadership were identified as cornerstones for success. Agility, innovation, and intelligent decision-making were seen as essential for navigating the ever-changing educational landscape and ensuring the university's growth and competitiveness. In conclusion, Dr. Bergania encouraged engagement, evolution, and excellence as guiding principles to nurture creative thinkers and foster a thriving educational environment. All right, so to illuminate our course, toward a future that knows no bounds, let us lend our ears once again to our university president, President Elexor C. Ramos. Okay. Okay, so before we...
Samahan mo muna si Carol. So, siguro, yung paulit-ulit kong sinasabi na ano ba yung ginagawa namin sa EDCOM? Now you have a better understanding of the things that we need to do and the big challenge that is in front of us. Okay. So kanina, di ba, I forgot to thank Carol, but nakakataba naman ng puso na sinabi niya, dun sa leveling, sinama niya tayo doon sa level 4 na mga SUCs, di ba, high-end, in high status. But this is precisely what I've been saying and sharing to the management, that part of our goal, we can actually make a contribution to Philippine higher education as far as taking a lead in the development of that specific typology for LUCs. The leveling criteria. Because as you saw earlier, wala siyang leveling for LUCs. Diba? If you're in an LUC, you're just an ordinary LUC. Walang level 1, walang level 2, walang level 3, walang level 4. And this is also what I was sharing to those who went with us to Taiwan. Yung kinakwento ko nga during also our planning conference in Bataan. Because yung mga deans that were with us were, really impressed about the research universities that we visited and aspiring how we can become one. But sabi ko nga, hindi tayo ganun eh. Okay? Hindi kasi tayo ganun. But hindi naman masamang mangarap, di ba, na para abutin din natin yung status na yon. I wanted to share this kanina when the mayor was here. It just slipped my mind. But since most of you are here, even the department chairs and the college secretaries, and I shared this with those who were with us in the planning. We're now in a unique situation because of the territorial dispute that most of our students now are non-Makati. Are non-Makati. I was getting the updated data from Jonathan yesterday because the mayor wanted to send her the data. And close to 6,000 of our incoming or of our current students out of the 10,000 students expected enrollees, so it's about 60% of our college students are actually non-Makati. In fact, about a third of our senior high school, our HSU students, about 2,000 of them, out of the 3,000, are also non-Makati. Ano bang pangalan ng eskwelahan natin? Di ba? Ano bang pangalan ng eskwelahan natin? That is why I've challenged the deans, and this is the direction that we want to go. We must remain true to our core. The reason for our existence and why we were created in the first place. To serve the residents of the city. But, in the pursuit of providing that service, the landscape has already changed. Nabago na eh. Diba? Kaya dati, pinag-uusapan lang natin, ma-employ lang yung mga graduates natin, okay na. Eh, sabi ko nga kanina, di ba, nung nagsasalita ako nung I was giving my response dun sa CHED, na ang dami pala nating mga kailangan pa at ang dami pang areas that we can actually improve on. Okay? So, yung post ni Dr. Berganya, I'm sure he has a lot of friends from here, tapos naglagay ako doon, abangan, di ba? Pati doon sa university, you heard it already from the mayor. And that's going to be a big challenge for us. The University of Makati will have its own basic education department. Lalaki yung lalakaran natin, Eller. Hindi lang dyan sa Oval. Hanggang dun sa may Fort Bonifacio Elementary School. And you have to understand anong mangyayari kapag once it is fully integrated in the University of Makati. Because no other city can provide the same kind of social services that we provide to our learners. You can expect na yung mga dating naka-enroll halimbawa sa Benigno, sa Tibagan, sa Rizal, lahat gusto niyan papasok na sa Fort Bonifacio Elementary School of the University of Makati and at the Fort Bonifacio High School of the University of Makati. So, yung nangyaring territorial dispute actually opened bigger responsibilities and opportunities for the university. So, babalik tayo, di ba? Sabi ko nga, we must remember our core, no? And tinanong ko naman, paano yun? Hindi naman mga tiga Makati na yung mga estudyante doon. Sabi sa akin ni Dean Cora, nung kausap namin si Mayor, basta daw within the catchment area. Tama, di ba? Tama yung term. Basta within the catchment, pwede natin silang tanggapin and we can serve them. But we will not surrender our identity that Professor Lopez imparted to each and every one of us. So, sumulat si E.D. Ryan Esteves. Nagtatanong, kailan kayo mag-a-apply ng Unifast? Okay? So sinabi ko kay Mayor, Ma'am, actually, it's a bait. Sabi niya, oo nga, ano? Bakit? Because if we apply for Unifast, that means it will be restricting our ability to offer new programs. Because the prerequisite for Unifast is that all your program offerings should have COPC. Paano na yung DRRM course ni Dean Lot? Nabubuksan na natin, di ba? Paano na yung Doctor of Chiropractic at saka yung traditional Chinese medicine na gustong buksan ni Doc Endix? Paano na yung BS Social Work na tuloy-tuloy na sinasabi sa atin ni Mayor na, kailan nyo ba bubuksan yung BS Social Work na yan? Paano yung ibang mga programa pa na may isip natin in coordination and in partnership with the industry na gusto nating buksan sa University of Makati? So that's the direction that we are going towards to. We will continue to improve the level of excellence that we have especially in our board-related courses. But because now that most of our students will now be considered to be non-Makati, expect a lot of changes, especially on our academic standards. Kasi, siguro, yung alam nyo naman, tumatanggap naman talaga tayo ng non-Makati, di ba? But the qualification for them to be accepted is purely based on merit. Their academic achievement in high school. Di ba? Kaya, and then kapag nakapasok na sila dito, nagpaparehistro sila na maging Makati voter. Kasi nga naman, syempre, liliit yung babayaran mo from 3,000 pesos to 1,000 pesos. Okay? So, tinanong ko si JP. JP, kung i-apply natin yung admission standard natin for non-Makati, doon sa mga nakapasok sa atin from the EMBO barangays, ilan ang magka-qualify talaga? Sagot ni JP, Sir, less than 50% lang ang magka-qualify sa kanila. Now, this gives us an opportunity. Bakit? Kasi most of them were products of the different public high schools. That's a challenge now, Dr. Jason. If we will run our own basic ed, we will ensure that we will produce the best grade school graduates and the best high school graduates that the city can produce. Not only for the city, but nationally and internationally as well. Kasi, yun yung sagot sa akin ni JP eh. Kung apply yung standard sa kanila, mga 50%, hindi talaga magka-qualify. Na anong direction na binigay naman ni Mayor? Kasi syempre, sabi nun, ang tanong, do we now continue to give subsidy to them, considering that they are no longer residents of the city? So our student regent is here. So ang tanong, does the city or is the city allowed? Yun yung question. Na extend pa rin yung scholarship privileges sa kanila, considering na non-Makati residents na sila. Ang sagot ni Mayor, yes, we will, but we will now be enforcing a much rigid academic standard for them to continuously receive the scholarship. And ito yung sinasabi ni Mayor kanina, na walang halong politika. Anong ibig niya sabihin dito? That standard will be enforced not only for non-Makati residents, but for all students in the University of Makati. Ibig sabihin yan, kahit na Makati resident ka, kung hindi umabot yung grade mo para dun sa retention at gusto mong magpatuloy na mag-aral sa UMak, magbayad ka na. So you cannot throw the Makati resident card. Residente ako ng Makati, kahit na 15 units na yung bagsak ko, pwede pa rin akong pumasok dyan. At 1,000 pa rin yung babayaran ko. You cannot use that card anymore. Okay? So, we are also tasking our VP for Finance. So what I just said is about the academic improvements that we have to do. We have also tasked our VP for Finance to submit to the City Council the real cost of education at the University of Makati. And mind you, it's not cheap. Mind you, it's not cheap. From our initial computation, ang subsidy po na binibigay ng syudad sa bawat estudyante na nag-aaral sa University of Makati ay hindi bababa ng 100,000 piso kada taon. hindi bababa ng 100,000 kada taon. Okay? So, doon sa mga academic units natin, babalik tayo. Ito, madalas na tinatanong ni Prof noon dati pa eh. Kapag nagsimula na ba tayong maningil, kung hindi siya magka-qualify sa academic scholarship, ay pagnanasahan pa rin ba ang University of Makati? Diba? So, ibig sabihin yan, kung kahit na non-Makati ka or Makati resident ka, pumasa ka doon sa standards natin, tatanggapin ka ng university. But if you fail to meet it, are you willing to pay the cost? Okay? So that's a big challenge for all of us. That's a big challenge for all of us. Now, in terms of our student services, we will always continue to prioritize the needs and the development of our students in our institution. There are a lot of non-negotiables, and most of those non-negotiables involves how we deal with our students. We will not tolerate any kind of harassment to our students, and we will strengthen those policies in our institution. But yung challenge ko rin naman kay VP Hill, sabi ko, much is given to our students. They should also realize to give back and love the city for what the city is providing them. Kaya, total, nandito naman na po yung mga department chairs at saka yung mga college secretaries. Yung instruction ko po kay VP Hill during the planning, one of the things that I want our students to develop, 3 things. Love for country, love for the city, and love for our school. Love for our country, love for our city, and love for our school. Kasi sabi ko nga, I wanted the Philippine flag displayed in all classrooms. I want us to play the Makati March every day. And I want us to play the Makati Hymn every day. And that is also the reason why we are introducing the Makati Zen studies in all curricular programs in the University of Makati. Para ma-develop yung pagmamahal natin sa ating bayan, sa ating pamantasan, at saka sa ating bansa. One of the things that we really need to work on and we really need to strengthen to really say that we have really leaped forward and to champion yung sinasabi ko kanina that we can take a lead in the development of that typology. And Carol talked about it, is we really have to make a very serious effort on tracking and knowing where our graduates are. Mahina tayo doon. And hindi yan kakayanin lang ng opisina ni Steve. Because the people who know our graduates the most are kayo. Yung mga teachers. Kayo mismo. Submit a proposal to the management on how you can better track our graduates. Let's work together on that. Si Carol nailed the point na how can we claim that we are very good when we don't even know where our graduates are? Kaya nga, yun yung sinasabi ko na we may not be a research university yet, but if we are going to be measured on social mobility, meaning, naiangat ba natin yung buhay ng mga estudyante na nag-aral sa atin? Hindi natin masagot, di ba? Kasi hindi natin alam kung nasaan sila. Puro anecdotal. May namita ko na ganyan, may namita ko na ganito, nakita ko si ganyan, maganda na yung buhay niya. But in general, we really don't know where they are. Okay? And how well they are doing now. And doon din kakabit ulit yung pagmamahal sa eskwelahan . Kasi kung mahal mo yung pinanggalingan mo na eskwelahan, kahit saang lupalop ka pa mapunta, babalik at babalik ka dun sa eskwelahan mo. Babalik at babalik ka dun. Sabi ko nga, ako, di ba, I graduated from another school. Alumni homecoming, I go and I attend. Kahit hindi naman batch ko yung nagse-celebrate. Pag may basketball game, I go and I attend. No? Pag nagmumura yung kalaban, minumura ko rin yung kalaban dun sa basketball game. Natatawa si Dean Sonia kasi nagkita kami minsan sa basketball game. And of course, as far as our admin is concerned, I think we're on the right path already, VP Jewel, di ba? We've started to actually put and hire the right people in our administrative offices. Okay? And ang dami nang nakita nating changes. Ngayon, hindi mo na kailangan mag-antay ng kalahating taon bago ka unang makasweldo. Di ba? Minsan nga, nagugulat kami ni VP Jewel. Kaka-hire lang natin yan. Wala pang isang buwan, may sweldo na. Oh? Even in our facilities. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ko, I was happy to report that during the budget deliberation of UMak, there were no significant cuts in our budget. That only means that the city will not spare any cost so that the university is assured to continue to deliver the best kind of service that we can to our students. But, tama yung pinoint ni VP Ed, a realization that we had, that marami pa kailangan nating aralin at baguhin, especially in the prioritization of how we use our funds. Alam niyo yung punta namin ng Taiwan, wala namang gastos ang syudad dun eh. Out of pocket pa nga nung mga deans na nagpunta dun eh. Sariling gastos pa yun. And yet, we are able to actually build connections and put a good word about the university that can actually increase our branding as an institution of higher learning. Kaso wala tayong budget for that. Okay? So, yun yung mga kailangan din nating, tignan. No? And sabi ko nga kanina, hindi naman masama na we aspire to also become a research university. Maybe the ratio may not be the proportion that CHED wants for universities using the instrument. Kung 70% of our faculty must have PhDs for you to get that autonomous status from CHED. Maybe baligtarin natin. No? Maybe okay na 30%, kaso, ito yung kadugtong. Yung maipagmamalaki mo, yung PhD mo. Ha? Yung maipagmamalaki mo yung PhD mo. Hindi yung kung saang eskwelahan mo lang siya kinuha. At I can feel that, and the management can see that you're not even proud of the PhD that you carry. Because you yourself know na it was just a walk in the park. Alam niyo ba sa DPA program ng UMak, wala pang nakakagraduate? Wala pa! Not a single one. Ngayon pa lang yata. Kung sakasakali. And, sabi nga ni Attorney Jewel, para akong kumuha ng batong ipupukpok ko sa ulo ko. Diba? And I'm sure when they finish their DPA degree from the University of Makati, they'll be really proud to carry that degree with them. Yun naman yung pakiusap naman din natin. Maybe hindi lahat. Kasi sabi nga ni VP Ed kanina, totoo naman, some teachers are better in the classroom. Kaya nga nung nandun kami sa Taiwan, sabi ko sa kanila, tignan niyo yung mga nagpe-present ng research nila. May naintindihan ba kayo sa mga pinagsasabi nila? Sabi ko, di ba, puro yung mga data talagang nosebleed tayo lahat. O nung nagpunta tayo dun sa isang university na kagaya natin, yung Wenzhou, ang sasaya lahat ng mga tao kasi we speak the same language. Di ba? May match. Sabi ko, kasi we're more like that. But yun nga sinasabi ko, we have to, our role now, we're in a very unique position to actually redefine what higher education means for local colleges and universities. Yung tignan nyo, kaka-grant lang ng IR sa atin, kahit nung wala pa tayong IR, tinitingala na tayo ng ibang mga higher educational institutions and policy makers. Kaka-grant lang naman ng IR natin eh. Bakit? Yung study ni Carol, di ba? It was not done this year. So, ibig sabihin nun, even before, we were already in the radar or we were already being considered as a top-notch local university. Diba? Even before. So, ang dami natin kailangan gawin. Ang daming challenges. And, I'm excited. I'm excited, no? I'm excited kasi, sabi nga, if we remain stagnant, we will not grow. We are being given a lot of challenges and opportunities for us. And I'm just excited for all of us. I'm just excited for the university. And I know that we can surpass all of these expectations with all of you on board. Okay? So, these are just some of the things that we want to accomplish and we want to do for the University of Makati. And we in the management, hindi lang po ako, we in the management, are counting on each and every one of us. Because we know and we acknowledge that we have already placed the right people, we have the right people, we have the right atmosphere, when we have the best climate of support that comes from the city government for us to be able to achieve all of this. So, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you po, President Rex. Thanks for giving us a clear compass as we navigate through these uncharted territories of progress and innovation. So good news muna tayo, guys, before we go on lunch. Good news, did you know that you can win a MacBook Air M1 and Samsung Galaxy Watch and Samsung Buds, no? So yan po, for only 350 pesos. It's actually a project of package daw po. So, M1. So, best of both worlds po yan, Apple and Samsung. So, it's a fundraising activity po of UMak Souls for their barristers. 350 pesos per raffle. Raffle date would be on August 31. Yan po yung QR code nila. I believe it's posted on their Facebook page. So just check out on it po. Scan the QR code. So, the moment that we are waiting for, lunch. We actually prepared packed lunch for everyone. And we are hoping that you'll be back at 1:30 po. So, see you and enjoy your lunch po.